Hey guys, I just wanted to do a quick overview of GA4, so Google Analytics 4. That's the new one that's coming out. The old UA version is supposedly being sunsetted on July 1st, so you'll have to move everything over and make sure you export your data. A lot of my clients and people that hear about this are kind of freaking out. It seems scary to lose all of your analytics, and Google's made a big push to kind of send out as many notifications as they can to get people to move over. I don't think it's a huge deal. Everybody should calm down, but there definitely are some things to kind of get in and get used to because it's not perfect. I started using GA4 last year. Up until about January of this year, it was terrible in my opinion. There were so many bugs. It wasn't very intuitive to use, and I really struggled with it. So I was just playing around with it. As of January, February this year, I've actually found it pretty nice to use. There's still some issues that I have some problems with, but other than that, I've actually found it easier than the old one, especially because I normally will use this to link between my sites, my client sites, my site, and ad accounts. So normally AdWords, Facebook, LinkedIn, but specifically for this, it's made AdWords a lot easier. The new version, between the old version going from GTM to Google Analytics into AdWords was a bit difficult, a bit annoying. You had to do multiple steps, and they cleaned that up a lot in this version. So I'll show you some stuff there. So this is the home screen. Not quite the same look. They're really going now for more behavior and customer flow than session data. It's a big overlap, so that's like kind of a big thing to say, and some of the stuff isn't quite there yet, but that's kind of what they're pushing. So that's why you'll see all this different data. They're trying to track people across multiple sessions, across your app and your website. More about the flow. Are the users scrolling? How are they interacting with pages? How are they interacting with elements instead of just someone came from this traffic source and did this on your website and then left? So I get the theory of it. I think it's a little ahead of its time for most of our applications, but I think it's good to get used to anyway. So here's the home screen. Like I said, a little bit to get used to. The reports is probably where you're going to spend most of your time. And then you can see the same old real-time data. Now, the one thing I have realized in real-time data, this gives you a ton of information, and that's great. However, in the old one, it seemed to take a few hours for then the data to get into the reports. In this one, I've been noticing it's more like 24 to 48 hours. So I don't use real time very often, but if I see something come in through my site, normally that day or a day later for my client sites for reports, I'd like to kind of pop in and see where the conversion came from, what traffic source, what location, etc. And when it's not entering in for 24 to 48 hours, it makes it kind of difficult. And then I always get worried if my Google Tag Manager was messed up or something like that. So hopefully they speed that up. That's the only issue I have with the real-time data to the reports. But the real-time data is actually pretty good. Acquisition, similar to the old one, so that'll make people feel pretty comfortable. I kind of spent my life in the acquisition tab in the old one, so you can see all of your traffic information, conversions, and events, which I think they've done a good job with. Then where you'll also go events and conversions, you'll probably live in here if you're doing any of the advertising. They added a lot of standard events, page views, scrolls, clicks. Gets a little confusing because you're not choosing to add it, but once you get used to it, it's actually pretty nice. And it's actually forced me to add more events to conversions and more conversions into my AdWords account. So higher up the funnel. So instead of just like form submits and phone calls, maybe now I will track for scrolls or certain page hits or session time, right? To get those softer conversions, get more information in the algorithm. Maybe I won't optimize my campaigns off of it, but it's definitely good data to have. To figure out the events and conversions, you go down here into admin. Your events are here, and then this is a pretty cool feature where you just toggle them into conversions. And then in AdWords, when you link the account, you can just pull those conversions straight into your ads. So that's a pretty cool new step. Then I want to show you Google Tag Manager. So normally what I'm using GA for most often is to pull conversions into my ad accounts. And so normally what that is for sites is any form submits, any clicks to call, Obviously, anybody that dials a phone off of the number on the screen, that'll have to be call tracking. So I can't really do that here. I'll do that with call rail or just the standard Google call forwarding. But clicks to call, form submits, page hits, all that. So for this, I'm just tracking click to call and form submits. A quick thing, I use Elementor. I build all my websites in WordPress with Elementor Builder. One, it doesn't seem to be grabbing all the form submits. So if you use the standard form submit variable in Google Tag Manager, it seems to miss a couple. So I've actually had to switch to the thank you page. And then another quick thing, if you are going to do a form submit on the trigger, if you are running Facebook ads, just make sure to add this. Form URL does not contain facebook.com/TR. What I found out is, as of maybe 6 months ago, maybe a little longer, Facebook was using the form submit action to add in their pixels. So when you just did form submit all forms, made it pretty simple for you to track, although it was basically saying every visitor to your site was filling out a form. So it really messed up the data. It took me a long time to figure this out. I forget where I found it on YouTube. So thanks to whoever posted that. I just do that. I don't know if that's still how they're adding Facebook pixel. I just do that by default now to make sure that never messes up my data before. Okay. I think one of the coolest things about GA4 now is when you go into preview mode on GTM and you hop on your site to test your new tags or triggers, in GA4, you go into the admin section, the debug view, and this is a live view of your debug mode. So say I wanted to check if my tags were working. So first, let me just take a couple actions so you can see what happens. This is on my site. So click a scroll, a couple things. Now we go back to GA4, give it a few seconds to update. It knows there is a page view in that, and then it should pull some scroll data. And there we go, user engagement, another page view. So I click through the pages, a scroll. Okay, so you see it's updating almost in real time, maybe a 10-second delay. When I started testing this last year, it was like an hour delay, which I don't know who could possibly sit there for an hour and then figure out if your tags were working. Now they have it down to a few seconds. So that's really cool. And then if I want to check my click to call, right, here we go. It's going to pull up Skype on the phone. It would actually pull up the number and call the number. So there we go. Let's see if it, so first of all, in the Google tag, we can see GA4, click to call, GA4, click to call button was pressed. And then when we go back here, scroll, there's our conversion, click to call with a click. So that's super cool, makes it super easy. Like I said, then you go to AdWords, link the accounts, pull those in. This is my favorite part, is the debug mode. My least favorite part is if you have to go into some of these reports, and I'll show you some data that I would possibly like to see. So say I want to go into, let's see where it would be, acquisition, traffic acquisition. Okay, cool. This gives me some information with my conversions. Great. Okay, but say I also want to see source medium and the location they came in by. Okay, so let's go to first user, source medium. Like I said, it's trying to track people across multiple hits. So there we go. But now I also want to see city, where I used to be able to dive into the further views in the old one. Now I only get these two. I can't add another one. So what they make you do is, if you want anything that isn't standard in these reports, and you can add different variables in these reports, but what they really want you to do is make completely new reports. So blank or free form. And when you click that, you'll get into this. This looks like a really cool feature. It seems very powerful, but it's not intuitive. It's super complex. So I think it's just going to take a long time to get used to. So here we go. I pulled source medium and I'm trying to check my different conversions and events. So this is where you have all your variables. You can add new variables and import them from here. So it's a bit like Google Tag Manager. So in this instance, I just have source medium and I have my events, but say I also want to see the city, which I couldn't see before. I go ahead and drop that there, and that's how I get it. So you can play around with these. Again, you can set up different bar graphs, circle graphs. I'm always going to sit in tables. I don't need all the graphs. There's very few things I'm looking for in analytics, but I look for them very often and try to get a good feel. So I'm try to keep it as clean and simple as possible. I'm going to dive more into this. Maybe I'll do another video at some point when I really get a feel for all of the data that we can pull from here. I don't love the UI UX and user experience of this, having to go to this Explore and kind of customize it. I wish we could just add it in, and I think we will at some point, but that's where we are. So anyways, make your transition, make sure you export all of your data from the old analytics, make sure you're running on GA4. It's not a huge deal. Don't get worried about it. It's a pretty smooth transition, but it is something you should know about. And I actually think most people will like it. So if you need any help, you can always reach out to me, rick@spreadx.com. Check out my site. You can call me. My phone number's on my site. So need any help, but hopefully that gives you a little overview, and I will be launching more videos as I get more comfortable with GA4. Thanks, guys.